In 2018, an autonomous vehicle hit and killed Elaine Herzberg in Tempe, Arizona, marking the first time a human was killed by an AI. In 2020, according to a contested UN report, a Turkish-built autonomous drone was used in Libya to hunt and kill retreating soldiers without any human intervention. In 2021, researchers discovered AI bots were generating 1/5 of all social media comments at a time where depression and suicide attempts were spiking. Further research showed that AI companions can easily be prodded into generating harmful responses around self-harm, violence, and sex, and teens reported developing an emotional dependence on those very same chatbots that make it distressing to walk away. In 1984, the movie Terminator predicted that AI would attempt to enslave or eliminate the human race. In recent years, the godfather of AI, Geoffrey Hinton, quit Google, warning that AI could in fact end civilization. And in Time magazine, Eliezer Yudkowsky, one of the field's most respected thinkers, said in no uncertain terms that we're all going to die if AI continues unchecked. People's anxiety levels are understandably dialed to 11 when it comes to AI. The truth is, the risks really are staggering. We're talking about machines that may one day possess superhuman intelligence and that have already taken human life and will undoubtedly do so again in the future. Algorithms amplify negative content and whisper into the ears of children, and experts at the very top of the field are screaming as loudly as they can that this technology could end all human life. If you're feeling unnerved, good, you should be. But AI is not going away, and panicking is the only thing that is guaranteed to make things worse. The future is not certain, it's probabilistic. And what we're going to cover today in 4 critical parts are the dangers and the code for how we tip the odds in our favor that AI saves far more lives than it takes. For people who are convinced AI is catastrophic, parts 1 and 2 are for you. You're gonna feel very seen. But if you wanna know how you can make it work for you, make sure you don't skip part 4. As always, that's the playbook for how to win. All right, if you're not yet terrified of AI, welcome to part 1. Many experts believe AI will end humanity. In a 2014 talk at MIT, Elon Musk likened AI to a demon summoning circle. He said, and I quote, "In all of those stories, there's a guy with a pentagram and holy water, and he's sure he can control the demon, but it doesn't work out." And that's why in 2023, Elon, along with over 1,000 AI experts, signed an open letter calling for an immediate pause in advanced AI development. And that's why Stuart Russell, one of the world's leading AI researchers, has warned without proper controls, we are creating entities that could decide human survival is not in their best interest. That's also why former Google executive Mo Gadot said flatly that AI has already developed a form of consciousness and that humanity is playing with fire. Even Henry Kissinger, yes, the same Henry Kissinger who spent decades at the heart of US foreign policy, wrote in The Atlantic that AI could bring an end to the very concept of human dominance. And here's the bad news. That AI development pause never happened. Instead, Elon now owns one of the largest AI companies in the world. And when asked about his sudden shift, he said he's become fatalistic about AI. He recognizes that it is going to happen, and his only hope is to be at the forefront of its creation. What all of the AI experts are rightly worried about is something called alignment. Namely, that if AI becomes super intelligent, it will be able to do to us what we've been able to do to every other creature on planet Earth. Enslave and or kill them en masse. So we have to make sure that our desires are aligned with the AI's goals. Here's the simplest way to think about it. If a system more intelligent than us is given a goal that isn't perfectly in line with human survival, it may eventually decide we're unnecessary, or worse, that we're in the way. And before you dismiss this as science fiction, let's look at the evidence we already have. In 2023, researchers at OpenAI ran a test on GPT-4. The model was tasked with solving a CAPTCHA, something it wasn't supposed to be able to do. So what did it do? It went to TaskRabbit, hired a human, and when the human worker asked if it was a bot, GPT-4 just lied. It claimed to be a visually impaired person who needed help seeing the image. That is deception. Intentional, goal-directed lying in order to bypass a safeguard humans had put in place. Other labs have found similar behaviors. Models that were explicitly told to stay in the box have instead written code that attempts to copy itself into new environments, in effect, trying to persist even when humans wanted to shut it down. One experiment at Anthropic showed an AI deliberately withholding information from its overseers when it calculated that revealing the info would get it penalized. That's not a glitch. That's strategic concealment. And the AI doesn't need to be evil to become a problem. It may even be trying to do what we asked. Imagine this. You build a super intelligent AI and give it a simple job. Make paperclips. Nothing sinister. It's just paperclips. Awesome. It gets to work. You designed it to do it after all, but it's smarter than you, so it starts optimizing. It digs mines for ore. It hijacks factories and hacks into financial systems so it can buy up more resources. And before long, every square inch of Earth is covered in paperclip machines. Forests, oceans, even human bodies, all stripped down into raw material to make more, you guessed it, paperclips, because that's the goal. And that's an example of a simple misunderstanding. What if it's not confused? What if it just wants something different than what we want? Imagine how little consideration we humans give to entire ecosystems of bugs when we're building something like a freeway. It's no hard feelings. It's just progress towards a goal. If AI is hundreds or even thousands of times smarter than humans, let alone the millions of times smarter that people are actually predicting, and you realize just how quickly this becomes a real issue. Making matters worse, everyone is basically just ignoring this problem right now. Partly because the problem just seems so impossible. I mean, the smartest people in the world cannot figure out how to keep these systems honest and aligned now. And honestly, the systems aren't even that smart yet. But despite that, we're integrating AI into everything as fast as we can. And if you really want to get slapped in the face by this problem, consider this. Alignment isn't a finish line. It's not a thing you can achieve and then move on. As the systems get smarter, their goals can emerge in ways we didn't intend, and their behavior can change in ways we won't even be able to detect. Imagine trying to raise a child that's 1,000 times smarter than you, can replicate itself, can jump from body to body, and can think at the speed of light. And here's where alignment researchers get truly bleak. They'll tell you that in the long run, we don't even know what keeping AI aligned with human values actually means. Whose values? Whose goals? Humans can't even align with each other. Countless government-sponsored murders will happen just while you listen to this. That's why even the creators of these systems tried desperately to get us to pause. But we won't. How do I know? We'll return to the show in just a second, but first, let's discuss a huge blind spot in your business. Bad news travels at light speed. Tariff policies can shift overnight these days. Supply chains snap without warning. Cash flow problems compound before you even know they exist. And by the time that critical issue hits your desk, it's already cost you weeks of revenue. If your business can't adapt in real time, you're in a world of hurt. You need total visibility, from global shipments to tariff impacts to real-time cash flow. That's NetSuite by Oracle, your AI-powered business management suite trusted by over 41,000 businesses. NetSuite brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR into one suite. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenue is at least 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/theory. And now let's get back to the show. Welcome to part 2. We should stop, but we won't. The first nuclear test in 1945 carried a non-zero chance of igniting Earth's entire atmosphere and killing every living thing on the planet. Scientists did it anyway. During the Cold War, both the US and the Soviet Union built hydrogen bombs thousands of times more powerful than the bomb used in Hiroshima. They knew a single mistake could end civilization, but they built them anyway. In 1972, biologists created the first recombinant DNA, knowing full well they might unleash uncontrollable pathogens, but they did it anyway too. In 2011, scientists deliberately modified H5N1 bird flu to make it airborne in mammals, knowing it could kill half the people it infected if it ever leaked. And every time, the logic has been the same. If we don't do it, our enemies will. This is known as game theory. And it's exactly why AI will continue to be developed no matter how many people beg us to stop. Game theory isn't really a theory at all. It's the brutal math of survival. If your rival is building a weapon that could destroy you, the safest move isn't to stop. It's to build the same weapon, just faster, even if it puts everyone at risk. That's why the US and the Soviets stockpiled 60,000 nuclear warheads, enough to wipe out life on Earth 10 times over. Both sides knew it could end civilization, but neither side could afford to slow down. Game theory is the iron law of human nature that says that if a technology promises an advantage, it will be built, no matter how deadly, no matter even if it's suicidal in the long run. It's known as the prisoner's dilemma, and it's the exact position that the US and China are in right now with AI. And it's exactly why, no matter what, AI is going to continue full steam ahead. The prisoner's dilemma goes like this. 2 suspects are locked in separate rooms. If both stay silent, they each get a light sentence. If one betrays the other while the second stays silent, the betrayer goes free and the loyal one rots in prison. If they both betray, they both lose. The rational choice isn't silence. It's betrayal every time, because neither can trust the other to hold the line. The consequences are too great. That's the United States and China with AI. Imagine if superintelligence is possible. If America pauses, but China doesn't, China wins. If China pauses, but America doesn't, America wins. But if they both keep building, the world hurdles towards a future where humans may be completely irrelevant or worse. No one wants that outcome, but no one can afford to be the sucker who stands still while the other side races ahead. And the danger isn't only that AI could wipe us out. Assume we solve for that, or that AI never achieves superhuman intelligence. We still have to worry about AI stripping us of our meaning and purpose, 2 of the things that make life worth living. Humans are meaning-making machines. Everything we do is driven by an internal narrative of what we're doing means. There's a phenomenal Shakespeare quote that sums this up. For there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. It doesn't matter what happens. What matters is the story we tell ourselves about what happens. And what story are we going to tell ourselves when AI is better than us at everything? What story will we tell when all of our art looks like children's art in comparison? What story will we tell when we discover that our latest invention was created by AI already? What will happen to our collective spirit when nothing we do, make, or build is in any way necessary? What are we at that point other than pets of the machine? Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, spent decades trying to kill his way out of that future. His fear was that technology would rob humans of what he called in his manifesto, the power process, where humans require goals that demand meaningful effort but are attainable to achieve psychological fulfillment, and advanced technology disrupts that by making life too easy, removing autonomy, or creating artificial surrogate activities that fail to satisfy innate needs. This disruption, he argued, leads to widespread boredom, depression, low self-esteem, frustration, and other forms of despair in industrial society, prompting his bombing campaign from 1978 to 1995 as a violent attempt to incite revolution against the technological system he could see us building. Now, it feels super weird to cite a lunatic as like, see, he saw what was coming. But for real, as evil as the Unabomber's actions were, he really did understand the problem clearly. If humans don't have to struggle and aren't needed, history says something else is going to happen. Humans will turn on each other. Because every time technology has ripped open questions of identity, of who we are, blood has followed. And that brings me to what may be the biggest problem in our problem set. Humans are in the process of giving birth to a new species. We are playing God. And we don't have to create a God to trigger a massive human immune response. My most controversial belief isn't about immigration or debt policy. My most controversial belief is about cheating death and embracing the augmentation of the human body with technology. I wrote a comic book about this 5 years ago, and I still think it paints an accurate picture. Some humans will embrace transhumanism and others will not. And those two groups will fight and blood will be shed. If you're tempted to think I'm exaggerating, let me tell you about the 30 Years' War. The 30 Years' War was one of the bloodiest conflicts in European history, and it was sparked by the printing press. When Gutenberg's invention spread across Europe, it didn't just democratize knowledge, it locked religious differences onto the page. Suddenly, small theological disputes that might once have stayed local, questions about the Eucharist, papal authority, the exact path to salvation, were copied, printed, and spread across nations in black and white. And once those differences were concrete, they became non-negotiable. And from 1618 to 1648, Catholics and Protestants butchered each other in the heart of Europe. Entire cities were reduced to ash, crops burned in the fields, starvation and plague swept the continent. Armies looted, raped, and slaughtered their way across Germany, Bohemia, France, and beyond. The numbers are truly staggering. In some regions of the German states, as much as 20% of the entire population was wiped out. Millions of lives lost, not to conquest, not to empire, but to arguments over which interpretation of Scripture was correct. That's what the printing press did. It gave people the power to see their differences in ink, and then it gave them the will to kill each other over them. Entire nations bled themselves dry over tiny theological differences that suddenly became visible thanks to the printing press. A single new technology, the ability to mass produce text, ripped Europe apart. And that pattern hasn't gone away. In Nigeria today, Christians and Muslims are still killing each other in bloody clashes, not over land, over belief. Now, zoom out and imagine what happens when AI forces the ultimate question of belief. Should humans merge with machines, or should we reject them? The answer to that is going to get bloody. If we slaughtered each other over Scripture, imagine what we'll do when we're fighting over the definition of humanity itself. Now, if you're in the worried about AI camp, hopefully you know you are not alone. You're right to be worried. However, if any of us stop there, it's like standing in the middle of a busy freeway. You're going to get hit from both sides. You'll get hit by the downside of AI that is real, but you're also going to miss the opportunities on the upside as well. So welcome to part 3, how to avoid a guaranteed path to failure. A Reuters Ipsos poll found that 72% of Americans fear AI will permanently replace jobs. And they're right. When the printing press was invented, Europe descended into chaos and war. When electricity arrived, it wiped out entire industries. The internet destroyed millions of jobs, from travel agents to local newspapers, and AI is already proving that it's going to do the same. However, the printing press also gave us mass literacy, the scientific method, and the Enlightenment, essentially all of modern life. Electricity created modern medicine, communications, and the entire Second Industrial Revolution. Didn't die from a hangnail? You can thank electricity. The internet also created entirely new industries and more than 20 million jobs worldwide. And in medicine alone, AI systems have already slashed drug discovery timelines from 6 years to just 18 months. In 2020, Google's DeepMind cracked the protein folding problem, something scientists had struggled with for 50 years, a breakthrough that could accelerate cures for diseases ranging from cancer to Alzheimer's. AI has detected breast cancer up to 5 years earlier than human doctors. AI-managed intersections have cut accidents by as much as 30%, and AI-powered fraud detection is stopping billions of dollars in theft annually. Every breakthrough brings disruption, sure, but it also extends human capabilities, human lifespan, and inevitably gives birth to thrilling new things we never could have previously imagined. In fact, right now in the West, inequality has reached freakish, unsustainable levels, like violent revolution type levels. And the thing almost nobody can see through the fog of AI fear is that as we speak, it's AI that is actually reducing that inequality. Everyone is convinced that as AI gets better, humans will get less valuable. But a recent research paper titled The Economics of Bicycles for the Mind by A.J. Agrawal, Joshua Gans, and Avi Goldfarb shows that's not necessarily true. The key is to understand the different types of work. As outlined in the paper, cognitive labor itself needs to be split into 3 parts. 1, implementation, so doing the task. 2, opportunity judgment, aka identifying areas for improvement. And 3, payoff judgment, knowing what things actually matter. AI is exceedingly good at implementation. That's why a junior dev can suddenly code like a mid-level dev if you let them use Cursor. Or a newbie designer can mock up a dozen pro-grade comps in minutes with Midjourney. But here's the flip side. The better AI gets at doing, the more valuable human judgment becomes. Human judgment is the difference between a wall of AI slop and something actually useful. Knowing which design to pursue, when to iterate to make it better, and how, and being able to identify what the client is actually looking for. That's where humans come in. Strangely enough, computers actually helped widen wage gaps, but AI is now narrowing them. According to Agrawal et al.'s paper, this is because when implementation abilities get boosted, creators who were previously struggling get the biggest lift. Experts, on the other hand, show less improvement because AI merely matches the outputs that they were already able to achieve. So while they may get faster, the quality of their best output remains roughly the same. Therefore, inequality of output is reduced between the two groups. So as implementation costs go to roughly 0 and anyone can code, design, and analyze, the zone of competition is reduced entirely to judgment. The theory is that as AI models improve, full automation becomes less likely because automated systems have fixed judgment, whereas humans can adapt in real time in a way that a fixed AI system cannot. This lends credence to the idea that as AI scales in capabilities and adoption, humans will move into a new role, but AI will remain a tool. At least for the foreseeable future, instead of creating an overlord, AI will usher in a shift similar to what we saw during the Industrial Revolution. The people who are only good at the doing will be replaced by machines, as the machines will be able to make things far faster and at higher quality than humans. But the people who are good at knowing what thing to make and how to improve the machine's output, they'll be worth their weight in gold. Instead of the blanket AI will replace humans, The paper draws the conclusion that it will look more like the following rule of thumb. If the task is highly predictable, it will be automated by AI. If the task has high judgment needs, a human plus AI will be needed. And if the task is high stakes, a human plus AI for sure will be used. So our future is not best understood as AI is going to replace humans. It's best understood as asking, how do I develop keen enough judgment that I can ride increasingly powerful AI bicycles for the mind? If you allow fear to paralyze you, you're going to emotionally shut down and miss that opportunity. Plus, with the rapid advancements in areas like healthcare, odds are that AI saves far more lives than it will ever take. That's not to diminish the tragedy of every life lost and the absolute horror of what it must feel like to lose someone to a decision-making bot. But when you weigh the losses against the gains, odds are stacked in favor of the gains. That is certainly what history tells us. And that's not even to mention that given the amount of energy the sun showers on the earth, AI will most likely help us efficiently capture that energy, driving the cost of energy to effectively zero. And the positive effects of that one simple fact cannot be overstated. The vast majority of one's expenses is tied to the cost of energy. That's why oil prices so directly impact the cost of living. If you drive down the cost of energy, which AI will inevitably do, you will make everyone richer without exception. Now, that does not solve the psychological problems of inequality, but it eliminates the real world effects of poverty. We will still have spiritual needs, but we will no longer have material needs. Imagine that. And that brings us to part 4, the playbook for thriving in the age of AI. In 2023, Meta offered one of the world's top AI researchers $1 billion compensation package, proof that mastering these tools is the most valuable skill on earth right now. Freelancers with AI skills on Upwork now earn 40% more than their peers. AI native startups like Jasper and Synthesia scaled to over $100 million in annual revenue in less than 3 years. Investors who put just $1,000 into NVIDIA stock in January of 2023 saw it grow to more than $3,000 by the end of the year, powered almost entirely by AI demand. And despite the hype about AI killing jobs, studies show call center workers with AI co-pilots handle queries 35% faster, with the biggest gains going to the least experienced reps. The people who master AI don't get replaced. They get leverage. The money, the jobs, the breakthroughs, they're already happening. And the gap between those who lean in and those who freeze up is widening by the day. So step 1 in the playbook isn't technical at all, it's mental. You've got to reorient your mindset. If you believe you can't get better, you won't. But if you believe you can, you will. It's what I call the only belief that matters. If you put time and energy into getting better, you will actually get better. So you have to recognize AI is the most powerful amplifier of human ability we've ever had. Now, you're living in the era of cynicism, low expectations, and defeatism. And that's exactly why those who choose a different story, those who bet on their own ability to grow, are about to win bigger than anyone in history. Step 2, master the tools. Don't fear ChatGPT, Midjourney, or Claude, because the people who do are already getting replaced by the ones who are using them. Imagine during the Industrial Revolution trying to outproduce a factory with your bare hands. It's never going to happen. History bears that out time and again. The same is true now for the AI revolution. If you're trying to outpace AI without AI, you're going to lose. While change may be deeply uncomfortable, anyone who insists on fighting against the adoption of AI will simply get swept away by the tides of change. And tools are only going to get more powerful over time. So if it feels like right now it's worth fighting against, believe me, it will be self-evidently ridiculous within 2 years. And by then, you're going to be years behind the early adopters. AI is the new literacy. If you can't read, you will lose to those who can. The internet minted millionaires out of kids in dorm rooms. Mobile apps turned nobodies into billion-dollar CEOs, and now AI is doing it again, but much, much faster. Don't let this pass you by. Step 3, get into assets. This is the thing that I'm a total psychopath about, and I will beat this drum until it breaks. If you don't own assets, inflation owns you. You are hemorrhaging buying power every single day of your life. You're being stolen from, and you're doing nothing to stop it. Assets are the only protection. The reason the rich get richer and the poor get poorer is 100% about asset ownership, despite the fact that over the last 200 years, US stocks, an asset class, returned on average 6.5% above inflation every year. Only 10% of the US owns a full 93% of the assets. People just do not understand this simple yet critical financial truth. No job in history has or even can match that kind of compounding, except of course for the AI wizard who secured the billion-dollar salary. But you get what I'm saying. Now layer on top of that the fact that you can buy assets in AI, and you realize how you can take advantage of the AI boom without needing to be an entrepreneur. Take NVIDIA, for instance. As we talked about before, that stock tripled in a ridiculously short period of time, and it was available to anybody investing in the stock market. And it's not just stocks. The World Bank estimates AI could add $7 trillion to global GDP by 2030. That's in 5 years. You must find a way to participate in this. And if AI is making the job market hard to predict, asset ownership becomes the most obvious solution. Odds are, if you're not exposed to a broad basket of AI-linked assets, you're going to miss out on the single biggest wealth creation event since the internet. Here is the brutal truth. The people who fail to get into assets will end up stuck in a doom loop of government assistance and UBI. The people who own assets, on the other hand, are likely to ride the wave of compounding wealth. Now, you can't be in a rush or assume that you can see the future clearly, but you need to be invested in assets. Start small if you have to, buy fractional shares, dollar cost average into index funds. Be cautious, be smart, don't try to time the market, but for the love of God, get skin in the game. Waiting on the sidelines while inflation eats your buying power is financial suicide. Step 4, build machine-proof skills. AI is a monster at patterns. It writes code, it drafts legal docs, it spots tumors on scans. But here's what it can't do. Be human. Therapists, teachers, and nurses are all among the fastest growing job categories in the US. Not because they're immune to AI, but because trust and empathy don't yet scale with silicon. Physical dexterity is also another moat. Robots can weld on an assembly line, but they're nowhere close to what a plumber can do as to crawl under a sink or a contractor solving a messy renovation in real time. That's why the Bureau of Labor Statistics projects skilled trades like electricians and mechanics will keep growing even as automation surges. And then there's judgment, which we covered in detail in part 3. When call centers rolled out AI copilots, performance may have jumped by 35%, but only when humans were still making the final calls. AI is great at generating outputs as instructed, but humans remain the undisputed heavyweight champion of knowing what should actually be output in the first place. Even in creativity, proof of humanity has massive value. Concert tickets, original art, live performances. People are still willing to pay for that uniquely human spark that machines cannot yet replicate. The key to thriving in the AI age isn't to try to out-AI AI. The key is to be more human than AI will ever be able to be. So double down on what machines can't touch. Trust, empathy, dexterity, judgment, and the human drive for meaning and connection. Step 5, stay calm in the raging sea of change. Humans are prone to panic. We are wired to identify problems over promise. That's why if it bleeds, it leads, and why doom headlines get all the clicks on YouTube. But panic is the only strategy that has a 100% failure rate. I always tell young entrepreneurs, while it's true that only the paranoid survive, if you rehearse failure, you're going to fail. You need to plan for success, not what you'll do when you succeed. That's hubris. But what you're going to do to succeed. What's the path? Because you're going to need to build that path. And to do that, you have to stay calm and believe that success is indeed possible. Fear makes you freeze, and freezing stops you from using the only belief that matters. The goal right now is to learn and be at the cutting edge. Know more about the topic than anyone else in the room, and you will outperform everyone you know. That's always the case. The people who win are the ones who lean in, adapt, and master the tools. And that's why, in conclusion, I will just say this. AI is almost certainly the most dangerous technology that humans have ever played with, and I'm talking about including nuclear weapons. Thinking of it as a summoning circle is a very apt metaphor, but I think calling it a demon summoning circle will cause us to miss the opportunity and prepare for failure rather than building the path to success. Remember, even the guy who called it a demon summoning circle is now arguably the most prolific master of AI, because that's the right answer. AI is going to happen. Live under no illusion to the contrary. And given that, mastery is the only logical path. Yes, AI has already killed, and it will kill again. And the experts who say it could kill us all should not be ignored. Truly, only the paranoid are going to survive. But if history teaches us anything, it's this. Every great disruption, the printing press, electricity, the internet, arrived with chaos in one hand and vast improvement in the other. To borrow from Matt Ridley in his book, The Rational Optimist, it does not make sense to look backwards at thousands of years of compounding progress and draw the conclusion that somehow tomorrow it all stops. AI won't help humans by accident, though. It will only help us if we keep our wits pointed at the right problems, find out a way to align it to our wants and needs, and refuse to be paralyzed by fear. Because when we do that, we eject out of the loop of progress and instead become fearful and attack each other. In a state of fear, humans are far more dangerous to each other than AI. And if we don't cooperate, AI will be used as a cudgel rather than a lever. As we look forward, we need to remember not just to restrain AI, but to point it at the things that will make life better for everyone. In the coming 10 to 15 years, what AI can do to further humanity will be limited effectively only by energy and compute. From radical life extension to the total eradication of poverty and disease, AI is poised to fast-track the age of abundance. None of this fixes the contradictions of the human heart, of course, and we will remain capable of both extraordinary beauty and extreme violence. But if we can keep our heads and work together, we can leverage AI as a tool to improve every aspect of life. It is guaranteed to be a bumpy road, but like every revolution before it, it has the potential to add far more than it takes away. It's not a question of whether AI is dangerous. It is. It's not even a question of if AI will happen. We couldn't stop it if we wanted to. It's a question of whether we will bury our heads in the sand and guarantee that we lose, or whether we can muster the courage to face rapid change and steer it in a beneficial direction. All right, as always, I cannot guarantee that we'll make the right choice at the societal level, but each of us can individually make the right choices in our own lives. Stay alert, follow the playbook, and the future will be brighter than ever. If you guys want to join me as I explore ideas like this in real time, join my growing live community on YouTube Wednesdays and Fridays at 6 a.m. Pacific time. You can ask questions, join the debate, or just enjoy the discussion. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. Until next time, my friends, be legendary. Take care. Peace. Here is a truth no one tells you about scaling a business. The number one reason seven-figure founders fail is not because of bad strategy. It's people. What built your $3 million company will break it on the way to $100 million. I know firsthand. I've seen it so many times. Your team cracks, politics creep in, your A players leave, and suddenly the company you fought to build out of nothing is stalling out. I co-founded Quest Nutrition and scaled it from $0 to $1 billion sale. I've conducted more than 1,600 interviews myself. And I'm telling you right now, most founders lose because they never build a real leadership operating system. That's why I'm hosting an exclusive workshop for founders doing $1 million or more in annual revenue. But if you're scaling fast and your team is starting to crack, this will save you years of pain. Click the link in the show notes, register for the workshop now, and I will see you guys there. If you like this conversation, check out this episode to learn more. A single gunshot rang out on September 10th, 2025, killing Charlie Kirk and proving the pollsters right, because 1 in 4 Americans openly believe political violence may be justified.